Democrat Cortez Masto wins Nevada Senate race against Republican Adam Laxalt. Cortez was the first Latina ever elected to the U.S. Senate in 2016. 14 members of Laxalt's family wrote a 3-page letter endorsing his opponent. Gluesenkamp Perez defeated Republican Joe Kent in a Washington House race. Laxalt was also a proponent of the former president's claims that the 2020 election results were a sham. Democratic Gluesenkamp Perez defeated Republican Joe Kent to win the U.S. House race for Washington's 3rd congressional district. Perez's win will flip the district from Republican to Democrat, a first in 12 years. Kent, an Army veteran endorsed by former President Donald Trump, defeated incumbent Republican Rep. Jamie Herrera Butler during Washington state's August primary. Democrat Andrea Salinas has won the U.S. House seat in Oregon's newly created 6th district. The state representative and former congressional staffer defeated Republican Mike Erickson, a businessman. Oregon is one of just 6 states to gain a House seat following the 2020 census. Democrat Katie Hobbs narrowly defeated Republican Kari Lake to become the next governor of Arizona. The Associated Press projected the AP called the race for Hobbs, who led by over 20,000 votes Monday evening after Arizona officials spent nearly a week tallying every batch of ballots to determine the winner. Katie Hobbs won by 20 percentage points among self-described moderates in Arizona by a 20 percentage point margin. The president's party typically loses independents by double digits in midterm years. Hobbs was considered the most talented of the bunch, but Lake surged in the polls in the last weeks of the campaign. Hobbs has pledged to repeal the state's Roe ban on all abortions except those necessary to protect the health or life of the mother. She has also vowed to push for voluntary universal preschool education, all-day kindergarten, an annual child tax credit, and a permanent child care help program. The Democratic Party will keep control of the Senate no matter how next month's Georgia runoff plays out. Democrats had dialed up efforts to reach voters, with the state party contacting thousands of voters and the local culinary union, which backed Democratic candidates, knocking on 1-meter doors in the state of 3 million people. The Nevada Secretary of State race was one of the most competitive in the country. Gluesenkamp Perez, an auto shop owner who describes herself as an independent-minded Democrat, pulled off a victory against Joe Kent, a far-right, America First, ex-Green Beret who was endorsed by former President Donald Trump in Southwest Washington's 3rd congressional district on Saturday. Kent, as a regular on conservative cable and podcasts, has called for the impeachment of President Joe Biden and an investigation into the 2020 election. Kent had to explain his connections to right-wing extremists to voters. Democrat Cisco Aguilar elected as Nevada's Secretary of State, winning the elections post over Republican Jim Marchant. Marchant pushed to scrap voting machines and claimed all Nevada winners since 2006 have been installed by the deep state cabal. Marchant organized a coalition of 17 such Republican candidates for the 2022 election, and all lost their races except 2. The first Latino elected to the role will replace Barbara Sagosky, the only current statewide elected Republican and one of the GOP's most vocal critics of conspiracy theories that have fueled unfounded distrust in voting machines. Aguilar said in a campaign statement declaring victory Friday night that, "We must continue to reject extremism." Laxalt lost to Democratic Senator Cortez Masto, who won election to a second term on Saturday. Marchant eschewed the trappings of a typical campaign, holding few public events open to reporters. He and his fellow deniers were supported by deep-pocketed businessmen who spent tens of millions of dollars on grassroots groups, documentary-style movies and other media. Katie Hobbs has won the Arizona governor's race against Trump-backed Republican Kari Lake, AP reported, and will become the first Democrat to win the post since 2006. Hobbs will almost certainly work with a Republican-controlled legislature that is highly unlikely to pass any Democratic policies. The Brown County Chambers Development Foundation, in partnership with the Duke Energy Foundation, was awarded an additional $15,000 in relief grants to distribute to small businesses in Brown County. The grants will be used for various operational expenses to help these businesses recover, support employees, and grow. The Small Business Relief Fund application form can be found on the Chamber website. The Duke Energy Foundation is focused on helping strengthen and uplift communities throughout Ohio. The Brown County Development Foundation is the educational, workforce development, community development and economic development arm of the Brown County Chamber of Commerce.